Hello and welcome to the history of Babylon 5. Today's episode, part 3 of the history of Jakar, Citizen Jakar. And here we go. While no longer enjoying his ambassadorial status, Jakar continues to remain in a position of authority on the station, acting as a leader of the Narn community, liaison to the station administration, and as the only member of the Kari still free, de facto leader of the Narn government in exile. Jakar soon gets to work doing his part for the Narn resistance. He makes arrangements with the arms dealer named Mr. Chase to purchase weapons to be used, purchased with the life savings of the free Narns. Initially, he begins smuggling weapons through the station, but Security Chief Michael Garibaldi quickly catches on. In exchange for Jakar promising to discontinue smuggling there, Garibaldi gives him information on an alternate and much safer route. Despite this, many of the Narn on the station begin to question Jakar's position as leader. He approaches Garibaldi for help, and Garibaldi is able to have the Rangers smuggle a data crystal out of Narn containing messages from the family of the Narn on the station. This is enough to renew the Narn's loyalty to Jakar. Jakar also refuses to remain silent. He takes to appealing to the humans and the aliens in the Zocalo, loudly proclaiming that the Centauri war machine will surely press onward. One of the ones who actually listens to him is Vircato, Malari's Ashate, who apologizes to Jakar for what had happened. Nearly blind with rage, Jakar tells him that until he can find a way to apologize to the dead, he cannot forgive. A Narn warship that escaped destruction in the war jumps into Babylon 5 space. They request sanctuary, and Sheridan agrees to the request, even as Frederick Lance, a representative from EarthGov, is there to investigate the Centauri situation. Jakar is informed of both pieces of information and hopes that Earth will stand up to the Centauri. Unfortunately, Lance refuses to meet with Jakar, and is dismayed when he is tipped off about the presence of the Narn ship. Lance announces that Earth is prepared to sign a non-aggression treaty with the Republic, something that virtually everyone on the station perceives as akin to appeasement. A Centauri battlecruiser arrives demanding the custody of the Narn ship. Sheridan refuses, providing a fighter wing to escort the Narn ship safely away. The Centauri open fire on the station, causing heavy damage before being destroyed by the station's defenses. Sheridan is expected to make a formal apology to the Centauri. He reluctantly agrees to do so. Later, Jakar is present in the Zen Garden as Sheridan travels in the core shuttle. A pair of Centauri place a bomb in the compartment, and in desperation, Sheridan jumps out of the shuttle, weightless but falling towards the station. Suddenly, a being of light appears and saves Sheridan. Every race perceives the being differently. Jakar and the other Narn behold Jalan, an angelic-like being in the visage of a Narn. Many people on board view this as a divine sign that Babylon 5 is a blessed place. Jakar, however, can only think of the now unopposed Centauri war machine and the shadows. When Lieutenant Warren Keffer is killed in hyperspace at the very end of 2259, he manages to send a probe with a few seconds of an image of a shadow vessel. Earth Force Special Intelligence sends Staven and Dowie to see if anyone on Babylon 5 knows about the ship. While he is not supposed to officially speak with the Narn, Garibaldi convinces him to talk to Jakar anyways. Jakar shows Dowie the Book of Jaquan, specifically a drawing of a ship that matches the shadow vessel exactly. He explains that the shadows came to Narn 1,000 years ago, and that Jaquan perceived them to be engaged in some great war beyond the stars. He explains that he has been trying to warn everyone for a year, but no one will listen. The shadows have returned. Early in 2260, Babylon 5 is rocked by a series of bombings. Jakar quickly assigns the blame to the Centauri, and they, of course, blame the Narn. One of the bombs causes severe damage, leaving Jakar trapped with Malari in an elevator. Malari is knocked out for 2 hours, leaving Jakar to assess the situation. He realizes that there's a fire burning beyond the lift, and that smoke will eventually come into the lift and kill them both. When Malari awakens, he realizes this as well, and insists that they must work together to escape. Jakar refuses, laughingly stating that he'd rather see Malari dead than survive himself. This way, he will get to watch Malari die, and he will not have to raise a finger. However, they are both rescued before they suffocate. And we'll try to be right back after this. Soon after the station has repaired the bombings, two Narns arrive. One of them is Counselor Nafar, who explains that he is there to replace Jakar as leader of the Narns on the station. He states his belief that Jakar is instrumental in organizing and promoting the resistance on Narn, something Nafar and others wanted stopped. Nafar states the time is not right, especially with the Centauri killing 500 Narns for every one of their own killed. Nafar tells Jakar that many Narns are starving, and that the resistance is keeping the Narn on the homeworld from getting food sent by the Centauri. Jakar tells him that they don't want the help of the Centauri, but Nafar says that Centauri food may be their only chance for survival. Jakar explodes, telling Nafar that he isn't responsible for the Narn invasion and he doesn't want to be blamed for those problems. Jakar insists that the resistance is working to secure their own food and resources, but Nafar despairs that they will never be able to bring in enough. Jakar says that the Centauri are simply trying to control them, a fact to which Nafar concedes, but insists that the time for action is not yet at hand. Nafar begs Jakar to postpone his battle against the Centauri and return home, while Nafar looks after things on Babylon 5. Jakar says the other Narns on Babylon 5 will not accept Nafar, and therefore he must stay. But Nafar tells him that the Centauri will persecute and imprison their families if he remains. Nafar and his guard Talon leave Jakar's quarters and are immediately accosted by some of the members of Jakar's resistance, who insist that he is merely a puppet of the Centauri government, designed to carry out their will on Babylon 5. A fight nearly breaks out but is interrupted by Jakar, who stops them and tells them they cannot succeed if they fight amongst themselves. If the only way to solve these problems is to return to Narn, he agrees to do so. As Jakar prepares to leave the station, he is stopped by many Narns who insist that Jakar is valued and needed on the station. He reminds them that their families may be in jeopardy, but they all realize this and are ready to accept what happens if it means the freedom of all Narns. Even Talon has been convinced to stay and join the Narn resistance, and tells Jakar that only with his help can they eventually succeed. Jakar agrees to stay on board. And we should be right back after this. Jakar hears rumors about the Rangers and suspects Sheridan and Delenn are working together on putting together a new alliance. They repeatedly duck his inquiries. When Garibaldi assures him that he cannot say anything at the time being, Jakar replies by giving him his copy of the Book of Jaquan, telling him to read it. Seeking to find new ways to help the Narn resistance, Jakar makes contact with a human drug smuggler to buy dust, a drug that allows non-telepaths to acquire temporary telepathic abilities. Unsure if the drug will work on Narns, but mindful that 1,000 years before there were Narn telepaths, Jakar decides to test the drug on himself. The drug works, but leaves him partially delirious. He seeks out Malari, finding him and Vir Kato in Malari's quarters. He knocks out Kato and drags Malari to a quiet location and down below, severely beating him in the process. Jakar then is able to penetrate Malari's mind, learning many of his secrets, including the fact that it was Malari who had been at the center of events leading to the war. Trying to learn more about Morden and his associates, Jakar is quickly overwhelmed by the flood of images and feelings. At his lowest point, he has a vision of his father, who speaks to him about the need for change. He warns Jakar that the Narn are in danger of extinction, and that they must let go of their hatred and the cycle of death with the Centauri, as it will only lead to the death of both sides. He speaks about the oncoming Shadow War and the need for the Narn to be prepared to sacrifice themselves honorably if there's any hope for anyone to survive what is coming. Jakar comes out of the effects of the drugs and breaks down in tears over the experience. He fails to observe Kosh nearby, who quietly withdraws without saying anything. Afterwards, he surrenders himself to station security and pleads guilty to the attack. He is sentenced to no less than 60 days in station lockup. He declines Garibaldi's offer to take back the Book of Jaquan, saying he believes he is now closer to the source. Hey, thank you for watching the History of Jakar, Part 3. Stay tuned for Part 4. Special thanks to the Babylon Project and all contributors for all information you heard today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you can. If you have, thank you. And have a great day. Bye-bye.